So once again, welcome to a new problem. This time we have a plank that's nailed on one end like that. Uh, and on this plank, we have a pivot. So the plank is being held by a pivot at a certain angle, theta. Uh, and there's a captain standing on the plank who has a weight. Uh, given that the mass of the captain is 65 kilograms. Also, at the center of mass of the plank, we have the weight of the plank, which we're going to call MP G. Remember, the mass of the plank is given as 45 kilograms. So this is the information that's given in the problem. Also, we want to recognize that there's going to be a force on the pivot, which we call FPI. And then there's another force given by the nails, which is Fn. Our goal is to find what the force Fn is, the minimum force that holds the plank together. Okay, so the minimum force that holds the plank, and it kind of like prevents it from flipping. Other pieces of information that were given include the entire distance of the plank, which is 3 meters. Up until the center of the plank, we do have a distance of 1.5 meters. And then from the pivot, this is split into two, like that. And this distance and that distance is 0.75 meters. This other one also happens to be 0.75 meters. So those are the distances we're given for the plank. And we do have the mass of the plank and also the mass of the captain. And we want to find this force right here. This is the force we want to find. We can label, it's optional. You could label, and those labels are given for specific positions on the plank. The initial position, this one is A, and then the pivot stands at the center of mass is at B, and then the captain is standing at C. So that's the information that we're given. Using the law of torques, summation at the pivot of all the torques is 0. Remember, in the clockwise direction, it's positive, and then the force by the nails providing a torque, it's going to be negative. So we want to compare those two. Remember, the negative and the positive torques, they sum up to 0 because they're in opposite directions. So then MP G times 0.7 meters, and then you multiply that by cosine of theta. That's the torque being provided by the plank, and it's positive because it's going clockwise. And then we also have the second torque being provided by the captain, MCG, times the distance of the captain from the pivot, which is 2.25 meters. And then you want to multiply that by cosine of theta. We do subtract the torque provided by the nails because it's in the opposite directions, and that's going to be Fn times its distance from the pivot, which is 0.75 meters. And then you multiply that by cosine theta. The next step of the problem is to reorganize and rearrange everything such that the torque provided by the nails is on one side of the equation, and then the torque provided by the plank together with the captain is on the other side of the equation. And that simply means that we're using the law of torques and they're balancing out each other. So there's equilibrium. This is a condition for equilibrium that's required. Okay, there's a required condition for equilibrium. So this is MCG 2.25 meters. MCG 2.25 meters. And so we're going to have to multiply that by cosine of theta. Okay, cosine of theta. Now they're equal to each other in the next page. In the next page, we can now solve for the nails, which is given by MPG. We have to go back and check MPG 0.75 cosine theta, 0.75 meters cosine theta plus MCG 2.25 meters cosine of theta, and we want to divide that by 0.75 meters cosine theta. So that's just algebra. The cosines cancel out, so we're left with an easier way of viewing the problems. We plug in the given units, so 45 kilograms for the mass of the plank, and then we plug in, remember we also have to include the acceleration due to gravity, so don't forget that. It happens to be 9.8 1 meters per second squared. Multiply that by that's G by 0.75 meters, and then on the other side we have the mass of the captain at 65 kilograms. We want to combine it with 2.25 meters. That's a product. Or again, we forgot the acceleration due to gravity. We have to include that, which is 9.81 meters per second squared, and then now we can place in 2.25 meters. All of that is divided by 0.75 meters. So finally, we're able to compute the mass, or rather the force being provided by the nails to prevent the plank from flipping as a result of having the captain stand on it on one edge at point C. So as a process, you see initially you want to have a free body diagram, and that's what we have right here. Okay, and the free body diagram represents the locations of the forces. There is the force of the weight of the plank due to gravity, and then there is the weight of the captain due to gravity, and then there is the force provided by the nails so that it doesn't flip. They give a torque around the pivot, okay, and that's based on the distance from the pivot. So we want to combine all of that in terms of equilibrium, saying that the equilibrium torque is zero, and the torque by the nails is going to be negative, while the torque by the captain together with the plank is going to be positive, as you can see. So that balances out to zero. We shift things, so we isolate the torque provided by the nails, which is this part, and then eventually we solve for Fn using algebraic simplifications, moving everything to the right, so we end up with 2,354 newtons. Hope you enjoyed the problem. Feel free to send any questions or comments, and have a wonderful day. Okay, thanks. Bye.